Proprioception is one of our senses. We are all familiar with the 5 senses of touch, taste, sight, smell, and hearing, but we have many more, and one of those is proprioception. Proprioception is our sense of our own body. It's our sense of body awareness. It's connected to muscle movement, grading of force, so how hard we exert pressure with our muscles, and also where all our body parts are relative to each other. Proprioception comes from the Greek word proprio, which means self. Proprioception is perception of self, but perception of our physical self. So we have little fibers in our muscles, our joints, and our tendons called proprioceptors that send information to our brain about what position our body is in, how hard our muscles are working, and where our body parts are. It's responsible for stuff like your posture. It's responsible for your movements. It's responsible for knowing about limb position and stuff like that. So proprioception learns more, or your proprioceptive system learns more through experience. So the more information you give your proprioceptive system through motor experiences, the more it learns about itself. So it's a bit like Google Maps in that the information you upload then becomes more detailed information that gets sent back out. So the more information you give the parts of your brain that process proprioceptive information, the better the proprioceptive information coming out to your body is. How it affects us in daily life is quite interesting. A good example is biting versus chewing. So the muscles in our jaw are very strong relative to their size. They're also very sensitive to proprioceptive information. So if you think of taking a bite of food, there's a lot of pressure in that bite. There's a lot of force. So what happens after you bite the food is interesting because the force that you're exerting through those muscles in your jaw has changed to become more refined so that you don't hurt yourself when you're eating. Pretty important. Other things the proprioceptive system is responsible for in daily life is stuff like fine motor movements. We have to refine our movements to make them effective, especially when we're thinking of tasks requiring dexterity. For example, tying your laces, writing, doing up buttons and zips. You have to exert just the right amount of force or it doesn't work. In fact, you can cause damage. As a dyspraxic person, I find proprioception is quite difficult for me, so I like to give myself as much proprioception in my daily life as possible. If you think of resistance, then you're thinking about proprioception, especially if you're thinking of muscle resistance. If you think of the verbs pushing, pulling, dragging, and lifting, that will help you get more proprioception into your daily life. A point about the proprioceptive system that I did not touch on yet, because it's very complex, is that the proprioceptive system helps us integrate more effectively information from our other senses. So sometimes it's described as an organizing sense. It's wrong to say that it's calming, but it does have an effect on how calm we are. You might find that you are a person who likes to do something physical when you're upset, in which case you will find that your proprioceptive system is helping you organize your other senses.